You have $87 million, and nobody knows. Not your neighbors, not your barber, not the man at pump 3, 4 feet away, filling a car that costs more than your first 3 businesses combined. But your phone just buzzed with the biggest number of your life. You haven't looked yet. You won't look until the tank is full, because you never leave a tank below half, and you never interrupt a task for a feeling. That discipline sounds small. It is the entire reason the number exists. But we'll get there. First, look at your hands on this cold morning. They're not soft hands. There's a groove on one finger from 20 years of coin rolls, a scar from a padlock hasp in the rain. These hands have never signed anything in a glass tower, and they control more money than everyone in this gas station will earn in their combined lifetimes. Nobody looks at you. That's not an accident. That's 19 years of architecture. And for the next half hour, you're going to live all 19 of them, because the number on that phone is the least interesting thing about you. How it got there is everything. Rewind. 19 years ago, you are 34. Tired in the specific way a plant shift makes you tired, standing outside a diner at 9 at night because you wanted pie and didn't want to cook. Taped to the cash machine by the door, a paper sign, out of order, 3rd week running. While you wait for the pie, you count. 4 people try the machine, 4 people sigh, 2 leave without buying anything because the diner is cash only after 8. You watch money physically attempt to enter this building and bounce off a broken box. Nobody else in the room sees it, and a question surfaces in your tired brain that will quietly reorganize your entire life. Not, isn't that annoying? The other question, who owns that machine? And why are they leaving money on this floor? You eat your pie, you go home, you open the laptop instead of the TV. 1 hour of searching, that's the entry fee, and almost nobody pays it. A used cash machine costs $1,900. The owner keeps most of a $280 surcharge. A decent location does 5 withdrawals a day. You do the arithmetic 4 times because you don't trust it. It holds. You have $2,300 in savings. The machine costs $1,900, used from a pawn shop 40 minutes away. This is where every story like yours normally dies, in the gap between reading about a thing and driving to the thing. On Saturday morning, you drive. The diner owner has been saying no to salesmen for 30 years, so you don't sell. You offer 15% of every surcharge for the corner by the coat rack, and you fix the problem she stopped seeing. She studies you for a long moment. People with clipboards never offered her anything. You did. First month, 160 withdrawals. After her cut, after the cash service, after receipt paper, you net $212. 212. Your brother-in-law makes that in 1 overtime shift and narrates it at every family dinner like a heavyweight title defense. Nobody congratulates you because there is nothing to see. No car, no watch, no announcement, just you at a kitchen table on a Thursday night looking at $212 that arrived while you were at work, sleeping, and once, memorably, in the dentist's chair. Sit with the feeling, because you'll meet it again at the end of this story, and you'll want to recognize it. It isn't pride, it isn't excitement. It's quieter and stranger than both. It's the feeling of work and income getting divorced. A dollar just earned itself without your body in the room. Most people feel that once, say huh, and go back to the couch. You don't, because you're not looking at the 212. You're looking at what it proves. The pipe works, water flows. So you do the least cinematic, most important thing you will ever do. You do it again. Machine 2, the laundrette on 5th. Machine 3, the bowling alley by the highway. By year 2, you run 7 machines, and your Saturdays have a shape. A loop of quiet lobbies with a cash tin and a screwdriver, checking, restocking, counting. You have never been happier. This worries your mother. You learn to audit without mercy. The bowling alley machine, once you count the miles and the hours, clears half what you guessed. You don't defend it. You don't get sentimental. You move it to a truck stop diner and the take doubles in a month. Amateurs love their assets. You count yours. Year 4, 11 machines. The route now clears more than your plant job, and this is the fork where these stories usually die a second death. Where a man quits too early, borrows too big, prints business cards with a rocket on them. You print nothing. You keep the job 2 more years. Not from fear, from arithmetic. The paycheck is now fuel. You live on the salary entirely, and every surplus dollar from every machine goes into 2 places only: the next machine and the plainest, broadest index fund on the market. Automatically, monthly, you will not touch that account for 19 years. Understand what you're actually building in these unphotographed years, because it isn't a business yet. It's a temperament. The ability to watch money accumulate and do nothing, to be dismissed at dinners and say nothing, to let a kettle rise for 2 decades and never once lift the lid. The neighbors see a man with 1 old truck and no vacations. What the neighbors cannot see is a spreadsheet with a tab for every machine, a Sunday night ritual of rolling quarters at the kitchen table, and a horizon so far out it would frighten them if you ever said it aloud. You do tell one person, just one, not family. Family narrates. You tell the version of yourself in the notebook. Every month, 1 page. What came in, what went out, what it proves. 19 years from now, that notebook will be the only complete witness of your entire fortune. It never once applauded. By year 6, the machines have saved something dangerous. A pile. $90,000 of patient, odd-numbered money. And a pile, unlike a paycheck, starts asking its own question, not, what can we buy? The other question, what can we become? The answer is waiting in a county building on a Tuesday. Because here is a secret about where wealth actually changes hands. Not at product launches, not on trading apps at midnight, in fluorescent rooms on Tuesday mornings, in folding chairs where a clerk reads parcel numbers in a voice sanded flat by decades to an audience of 5. Everyone else is somewhere being marketed to. You are here in the 5th chair with a notebook, and for 5 straight months, you bid on nothing. You just listen. Which regulars overpay out of boredom? Which parcels hide liens like fishhooks? What things actually cost when nobody's watching? Then, in month 6, lot 41, a self-storage yard on the unfashionable edge of town. 88 units, 1 flickering light, a chain-link fence with a lean to it. The room passes. Storage isn't sexy, and everyone in that room except you is still, somewhere deep down, shopping for sexy. The clerk says 41 twice. Your paddle moves 11 centimeters. Sold to the man in the plain jacket for $310,000. Part savings, part a loan from a local banker who ran out of objections somewhere around the 6th year of your immaculate, boring, odd-numbered records. Walk the yard that first evening as its owner. A third of the units sit empty, and empty units are just leaks wearing padlocks. The previous owner saw a tired lot. You see 88 small monthly promises, 30 of them broken, all of them fixable with work nobody else wanted to do. So you do the work. Fix the light, power wash 2 decades off the doors, paint the fence, hire a retired teacher to answer the phone 3 hours a day, and drop the price of the small units by $5, because full at a fair price beats empty at a proud one. 1 year later, the yard runs 92% full and clears $52,000 a year, net. But understand what you actually bought at that auction, because it wasn't metal boxes. You bought a human constant. People accumulate more than they can house, and they will pay monthly, forever, not to deal with it. Divorce fills units. Downsizing fills units. Hope fills units. Half of them hold things people are sure they'll use again. No recession has ever emptied a storage yard. You have stopped buying machines that dispense money. You have started buying needs that never cancel. Feel the difference. It's the whole game. Next, the corner car wash, 2 self-serve bays, bought for $145 from a man moving to Arizona. Quarters again. You laugh alone in the truck about that. You started with a machine that eats quarters. Now you own the food chain. The bays clear 38,000 a year and ask for nothing but hoses. Then the strangest one. Years ago, you bought a half-acre of scrubland touching the highway for almost nothing, on a feeling you couldn't defend at the time. A carrier company calls about the hilltop. They don't want your land. They want to rent the air above it for a tower for 30 years. $1,150 a month, 3% annual escalator. Their maintenance, their insurance, their problem. Some months, you genuinely forget you own it. And hear this clearly, that forgetting is the highest compliment an asset can ever be paid. The best money whispers. It never once performs. Year 11, the last big piece, a portable sanitation company. Yes, that kind, 340 units across construction sites and county fairs, bought from a retiring owner who spent 28 years building the least glamorous business in the county and the most reliable. He cries a little at the handover. You understand completely. Revenue, $1.4 million. Margin, thin as deli meat, steady as gravity, because construction sites are legally required to have your product, and gravity has never missed a quarter, and nobody at any dinner party will ever ask you about it. That silence, you now understand, is worth a fortune. Stand back and look at the folder your life has become. An ATM route, a storage yard at 92%, 2 wash bays, the air above a hill, 340 humble necessities, and underneath everything, feeding silently the entire time, 19 years of surplus dropped monthly into the broad market and never touched. No single piece impressive, no single piece even interesting. Together, a machine of machines, compounding in the dark while you sleep, while you restock, while you wave at neighbors who believe, with gentle certainty, that you are scraping by. The number is coming. It is already inevitable. But before the number, you need to survive 3 rooms, a bank office, a wedding reception, and a gas station. Because the money was never the hard part of this life. The hard part was what it cost to stay invisible while carrying it. That bill arrives next. Start with what you drive, because everyone else does. The truck is 14 years old, 210,000 kilometers, a dent above the rear wheel from a runaway shopping cart that you have not fixed in 6 years and will not fix, ever. And the not fixing is a decision, not neglect. At a red light, a man in a lease sedan glances over and sorts you in half a second. Old truck, plain jacket, done. Filed under, struggling. He pulls away first, satisfied. He has just dismissed a man whose storage yard alone out-earns his salary. You let him go. You always let them go. Because here is a rule you've verified for 2 decades. The moment people believe you have money, every price around you changes. Contractors quote higher, sellers negotiate harder, relatives calculate softer, strangers pitch faster. The old truck is not humility, it is a discount on everything that never expires. The internet will eventually name what you're doing stealth wealth and dress it up as an aesthetic. Quiet colors, no logos, a look. Let them. You know it was never fashion. It's operational security for a life you refuse to have managed by other people's expectations. The ordinary is armor. You wear it daily, on purpose. Test the armor at the bank, year 14, refinancing the yard. The young loan officer keeps glancing at the door, waiting for the real applicant to arrive. Then he opens the file. You watch his posture reorganize itself in real time, vertebra by vertebra, as the numbers refuse to match the jacket. You feel it, don't you? The small hot urge to enjoy that moment, to lean back, to finally be seen. Hold it, let it pass. You did not build 19 years of silence to spend it on a loan officer's respect. Respect is a currency. You are not shopping today. Meanwhile, the men you graduated with played the visible game. One raised money for a juice concept that folded in 19 months. One rode a hot stock up the mountain and back down the far side. One flips houses and has described himself as exhausted in every conversation since 2019. Don't sneer at them. Some visible games pay, but total their invisible tax. Attention, every quarter a performance, every dip an audience, every rival a mirror. The visible game bills you in cortisol, and cortisol compounds too. Your game billed you in patience. Check which bill you'd rather pay at 50. And patience never once went backwards, slower than everyone in any single year. The Juice Man's launch party alone cost more than your best machine cleared in 12 months, faster than everyone across 20. The Tortoise was never a children's story. It's a portfolio strategy that happens to come with a shell. People imagine your life as deferred, that you're postponing living until some number arrives. Walk them through an actual Saturday, morning at the yard, teaching the phone desk teacher's grandson to rebuild a coin mechanism. Noon sourcing wash bay hoses yourself, saving $400. Evening, pie, the same diner, 19 years later. She still pours without asking. You never escaped work. You escaped employment, and the difference is ownership of your hours. You work constantly, at things you chose, at a pace you set, for machines you own. The internet sells passive income as a hammock. Yours looks like a toolbox that answers to no alarm clock. The luxuries, since you're wondering. 19 years of ledgers, and here is the complete list. Good boots, one excellent mattress, a trip every second year to see family, and a scholarship fund at the local school endowed anonymously that 3 kids a year win without ever learning whose quarters paid for it. That last one matters more than it looks, because the money was never absent from your ordinary life. It was disguised, load-bearing inside the walls. It's the reason a plant layoff in year 5 passed through your house like weather instead of an earthquake. Wealth nobody can see still holds the roof up. Now the room you've been dreading, your cousin's wedding, year 16, rented hall, fairy lights, an open bar working overtime, and holding court at the center of one circle. A man in a tuxedo, describing his portfolio to people who did not ask, in the direction of whoever might be listening. You know him. Every family has one. Crypto in 21, short-term rentals in 23, an AI angle he can't quite explain tonight, a watch on a payment plan catching the light every time he lifts his glass. He is not a villain. He is obeying every instruction the culture ever gave him, loudly. He asks what you're into these days. You one beer nursed for an hour, say, storage, mostly, some coin-op stuff, and you watch his eyes run the arithmetic they were trained to run. Old truck outside, plain jacket, storage. He smiles kindly, warmly even, and rotates 15 degrees toward a dentist. Feel it honestly, because anyone who says this, life has no sting, is selling you the version with the human parts removed. Being dismissed while holding 80-some million in quiet machinery stings. It stings for exactly 4 seconds. Count them. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now watch what the sting becomes. A receipt. The dismissal is proof of function. It means the armor holds. It means the yard, the route, the bays, the hilltop, the fleet, and the untouched account remain, tonight and every night, entirely, privately, magnificently your business. The band starts. You put down the beer. You came here to dance. Hold both men in one frame because this is the whole episode in a single image. One spends real money performing imaginary wealth. One holds real wealth performing an ordinary life. The room will toast the wrong man all night long. Let it. The room you learned long ago is not the audit. Months later, he calls you, not for money, for the number of a good bankruptcy attorney and the low voice men use when the performance runs out of stage. You give him the number, and an afternoon, walking the storage yard, no lecture, just doors and arithmetic and the sound quarters make. Now the chapter the highlight reels skip, the costs, because this life has an invoice too, and you've been paying it in a currency no bank recognizes. 19 years of biting your tongue while louder tables got the toasts. 19 years of a success that could never once be celebrated out loud. Friendships stayed shallower than they might have because the biggest thing in your life was unmentionable. Conversations skimmed. When friends worried aloud about money, you nodded along, performing a struggle you did not have, which is its own strange lie, told with kind intentions, and it costs something every single time. There were nights at the yard gate after locking up, breath visible, when you wondered whether a life built on being unseen had skipped some ordinary human vitamin. the public nod, the earned respect received. Whether armor, worn 19 years without removal, eventually forgets it was ever separate from the skin. And gentle pity is heavier than envy. You learn that at a school reunion, watching a classmate's face soften at your old truck. Envy at least believes you have something. Pity is certain you don't. You drove home that night and sat in the driveway for 6 minutes before going in. Count that cost too. So why keep the armor on? Why not, at year 12, at year 15, just once? The new truck, the raised glass, the corrected record, because you did the other arithmetic. What visibility purchases? Admiration from strangers, which cannot be deposited, envy from acquaintances, which cannot be refunded, and requests from everyone. You've watched money change other people's rooms, the cousin who won a settlement and lost every easy friendship inside 2 years, each one converted into a negotiation, the coworker whose lottery numbers hit small and whose doorbell never sounded the same again. Visibility doesn't just cost the rich, it reprices everyone around them. With the same fortune, you bought the opposite. Silence, room to think, the right to walk into a diner where they have poured your coffee without asking for 19 years and be completely the guy with the old truck. It is the single most expensive thing you own. Nobody will ever see it. Both invoices are real. Hear this precisely, because the internet only ever shows you one at a time. The visible life pays in pressure. The invisible life pays in recognition. Neither is fake. Neither is free. The only true mistake in either direction is pretending your chosen life came without a bill. And you chose with open eyes, which is rarer than the money. Every year, quietly, you re-choose. At the reunion, in the driveway, at pump 4. The armor stays on not from habit, but from a decision renewed so many times. It has worn a groove, like the coin rolls wore into your finger. If you're watching this and the costs sound unbearable, good, then the visible life is your honest choice, and you now know its price too. This was never a sermon about hiding. It's an audit of trade-offs the culture refuses to itemize. Every fortune is a receipt. Read yours before you sign. One more cost, the strangest one. Success with no witnesses starts to feel, on certain nights, like a tree falling in an empty forest. Did it happen? The notebook says yes. The account says yes. But some ancient part of you keeps waiting for a crowd you specifically built your life to exclude. Sit with that contradiction. Don't resolve it. You never fully did, and the honesty of that is worth more than a tidy answer. You wanted to be unseen, and you wanted sometimes to be seen. Both true, both human. The number, when it arrives, will not settle this. Nothing settles this. Step out of the feeling and into the mechanics, because you didn't wear this life for half an hour just for the atmosphere. 19 years compress into 5 rules. They are boring. They are diamonds. Every quiet fortune you will ever hear of runs on some version of these 5. Rule 1. Every fortune starts below its owner's dignity. The cash machine, the storage padlock, the portable toilet. The entry fee to quiet wealth is the willingness to be unimpressive on purpose, while impressive people compete somewhere expensive. If a business would embarrass you at a dinner party, look twice. Embarrassment is the last undervalued asset class. Rule 2. Never own what you can't inspect on a Tuesday. You could touch every machine, walk every yard, kick every tire. When something broke, you knew which pipe, which hinge, which person. Complexity is where money hides from its owner. Simplicity is where it reports for duty, in person, monthly. Rule 3. Cash flow first, appreciation second, applause never. Every asset had to pay from month 1. If it only promised to be worth more someday, you passed, every time. Someday is not a customer. Someday has never made a deposit. Someday, you've noticed, mostly sends invitations to launch parties. Rule 4. Surplus has one address and no imagination. Every extra dollar automatically, monthly, into the broadest, plainest index there is. Through booms you didn't celebrate and crashes you didn't mourn. The businesses were the engine. The market was the flywheel. Neither was ever asked to be exciting. That was the point. Rule 5, and this one built the other 4. No audience. You never once made a financial decision to maintain a story about yourself because there was no story running. No keeping up, no proving wrong, no showing them. Audiences are the most expensive thing a person can own. Silence was your unfair advantage. Now audit yourself tonight while the coat is still warm. How many of your money decisions this year had a viewer stitched inside them? The car chosen partly for the driveway, the trip planned partly for the photos, the stock picked partly for the story you'd get to tell at dinner. No shame in the answer. The pull is human, and the entire culture is a gymnasium built to strengthen it. But run the number. Every audience-shaped dollar is a dollar not feeding a machine, and machines, unlike audiences, remember exactly what you gave them and pay it back with interest forever. So here's the practice, and it costs nothing. For 30 days, before any purchase big enough to sting, ask one question. If no one could ever see this or hear about it, would I still want it? Then obey the answer. Half your wants survive that question. Those are actually yours. Keep them guiltlessly. The other half evaporate on contact, and their combined weight, redirected for a decade into anything that pays monthly, is precisely how ordinary salaries build unordinary endings. That's not motivation. That's subtraction and time. You are one honest question away from your own quiet machinery. Most people never ask it. And if you're thinking, fine, but he started with 2,300 and I have less, then hear the inventory you've been skipping. The hour at the laptop cost nothing. The 5 months of folding chairs cost nothing. The calls to owners 2 counties over who love to talk shop cost nothing. The expensive part of this fortune was never capital. It was the unpurchasable inputs. Curiosity nobody assigned, patience nobody applauded, attention aimed exactly where nobody else was looking. Every one of them is in stock tonight. Unlimited quantity, free, at the very kitchen table you're going to walk past in a minute. Start smaller than he did if you have to. This week, notice one broken thing money flows around, a dead machine, a service your town lacks, a need everyone complains about and nobody owns. You're not hunting a fortune yet. You're training the noticing. The noticing is the entire skill. Everything else is repetition. Because 19 years ago, a tired man wanted pie, and 400 people had walked past a paper sign that week, and one didn't. Every asset in the folder, every quiet zero in the number that's about to arrive, descends from that single act of paying attention. Attention, then arithmetic. In that order, always. Now come back to the cold morning where we started, because the tank is almost full and the phone is still waiting, and you now know everything the man at pump 3 doesn't. It's a Thursday in October, year 19. The wash bay pressure fittings came in early. That's the only reason you're out. The email is the quarterly summary from your accountant. Same subject line for 19 years. No exclamation mark. You'd have found a new accountant over an exclamation mark. You usually read these Sunday mornings with coffee, but the preview shows the top line number and the number stops your hand. The pump clicks off, tank full, and you stand there with the nozzle in one hand and 19 years in the other. You open it. You read the summary line twice, slowly, the way you read anything to be sure the zeros aren't a smudge on the glass. $87,412,000. Now inventory the moment because you had imagined it quietly for 2 decades. Some version with a shiver in it, a soundtrack, the world rearranging itself slightly to acknowledge what just happened. Instead, frost on the hedges, a woman 2 pumps over scraping her windshield, a delivery truck reversing somewhere, beeping its slow song. Nothing happens. Read that again someday with your own eyes on your own screen. Nothing happens. The woman finishes and drives off without once looking at the richest man she'll stand near this year. The store doesn't know. The frost doesn't know. The nozzle in your hand does not know. You wait for the seam, the line between the before life and the afterlife that every milestone spends years promising. There is no seam. There is pump 4 and cold fingers and a phone and the exact same feeling you met once before on a Thursday night 19 years ago at a kitchen table. $212. Remember what it felt like? Not pride, not excitement. That quieter, stranger thing. The feeling of a system confirming itself. This is the same feeling, identical, not scaled, not multiplied, not upgraded by the zeros, which tells you finally what it was never about. It was never about the number. It was about the click, the quiet click of machinery doing exactly what you built it to do, unattended, unadmired, unbroken. If you are chasing money because you believe the big number will change how mornings feel, receive this dispatch from Pump 4. The mornings stay mornings. Build for the click. You type 4 words back, looks right, thank you. Pocket the phone against the quarters and drive to the wash bays where you spend 90 minutes installing pressure fittings with cold hands because the fittings came in early and a system does not pause to admire itself. Neither anymore do you. At the diner that night, pie obviously, the owner asks how your day was, and you look at the woman who has poured your coffee for 19 years, who shook your hand over a broken machine when you had $2,300 to your name, and you tell her the complete truth. Not bad. Not bad. $87 million, and the honest summary of the day it arrived is not bad, said to the only other person present at the founding who will never know she was. If the anticlimax disappoints you, hold the disappointment up to the light, because it's diagnostic. The part of you that wanted champagne at Pump 4 is the same part the tuxedo was feeding at the wedding, the performance hunger, the crowd receptor. He fed his daily, and it ate him. You starved yours for 19 years, and in the space where applause would have gone, the folder grew instead. Time to take the coat off, step out of the truck, out of the vest, back into your own kitchen light, because this episode was never actually about him. It's about the question his 19 years keep asking anyone who watches closely. What are you building, and who honestly is it for? If the honest answer is an image for people who aren't in the room, you now know that invoice down to the line items. And if the answer is machinery for the people at my actual table, you know that bill too, both payable, both human, only one of them compounds. Tonight, spend the free inputs. 1 hour of curiosity aimed at something boring that people need on their worst day. Your town has broken machines and unowned needs on every block, and 400 people will walk past each of them this week, and their footsteps are the sound of every fortune that never happened. This month, practice the 4 seconds. At the next loud table, when the performance starts and your pulse asks to be seen accurately, hold it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Every time you decline an audience, you keep $1 in a decision that were about to belong to strangers. That's not repression, that's compounding. And guard one thing above every tactic in this half hour: the gap between what you earn and what you display. His stayed absolute for 19 years, and inside that hidden space, unwatched, unjudged, unperformed, an entire fortune grew like a garden behind the plainest fence on the street. You want to know if he's happy. Everyone asks, as if the number settles it either way. Here's the only honest audit. Happiness doesn't appear on any statement, but there's something adjacent on every page of 19 years. And it might be better. The man is unhurried. Every line item agrees. Unhurried, roll it around. It may be the only luxury that cannot be financed, imitated, or performed. The tuxedo could rent the watch. He could never rent the walk. Slow steps through a boring kingdom that answers to no one's calendar. That, in the end, is what the zeros were for. Close the folder with the arithmetic that opened it, because you were promised mechanics, not a fairy tale. $212 a month, grown at ordinary rates, joined by 5 boring businesses, bought well, and every surplus dollar for 19 years. The zeros are unusual. The math never was. Run it yourself. Which means the true headline of this episode was never, "You have 87 million." It was this: you have the inputs. Tonight, the hour, the attention, the town full of worst day needs, an offense you can choose, starting this evening, to keep plain. What grows behind it is nobody's business but yours. Somewhere in your town tonight, there's a taped paper sign on something broken. This week, 400 people will pass it. Maybe you already did, yesterday, without your footsteps slowing. That's fine. You didn't know what it was yet. Now you do. Listen for the moment your footsteps stop, and the next time you're at a gas station and a phone buzzes in an ordinary pocket 4 feet away, glance over once, kindly. The dented truck, the plain jacket, the unhurried hands. You can't tell anymore, can you? That's the point. You were never supposed to be able to tell. I'm Penny. I keep the books. His were the easiest I ever kept because quiet money keeps itself. Yours are on the kitchen table, next to a free hour and a question with 4 seconds in it. Go spend the hour on something boring, and tell me in the comments, what's broken in your town?